quick editor note here. Much like the horrors, our audio issues continue to persist for a few more episodes. But also like the horrors, we continue to persist. So, hopefully, you will continue to find us entertaining enough to continue watching despite our continued audio issues. Rest assured, they will be taken care of soon. Thank you so much for watching, and happy brunch!
I panicked so hard I went to default settings.
We're now going to perform a factory reset on Jay.
Oh no! Oh, gracious me. Okay.
Hang out.
I've been recording for 5 minutes. What is our topic?
Well, hold on. I have to actually start. Excuse you.
We were saying happy brunch to like 15 countries. Well, not countries,
just
but
assumed
cities.
we were-
I have a cadence to it.
Okay.
Cities are now
Okay,
countries.
pardon me.
Amen.
Pardon, it's called
Inception.
city-states. They exist. Just ask the Vatican.
Congratulations, Kuala Lumpur. You're now a country. Enjoy your independence.
Given to you
We just
by
did them
the
like the
Brunch of
Vatican.
Idiots podcast.
Secede and secede. Secede
The
and
Vatican
secede.
and Key West.
I'm just going to start listing off some new countries that now have independence. Rio de Janeiro, congratulations. Salt Lake City, congratulations. Mormons, good job. Well done.
Next, planetary domination.
London,
Okay.
congratulations. You're now
I'm
independent.
gonna start this now.
Oh no.
Good
on-
brunch, Santiago, Chile, and welcome to a Brunch of Idiots podcast. I'm Aiden, the Helmet Man. Next to me is Riley, the Yeti. No, Bigfoot.
Thank you for
Sasquatch.
getting my... Yes, I am a
The
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Sam Squash.
Below us is the bird, Nix, or Jay.
Hello, I'm Jay.
And then the ghost, that is RJ.
Boo.
Ah.
Boo-hoo.
Man. So, how this podcast works, we rotate host because no one wants it for more than one session. And we have fun little topics that you can just listen to in the background over brunch. Or whatever else y'all do with your lives. I don't know.
Brunch is a mindset.
Brunch
You can
is
have
a-
brunch at dinner, trust me.
Brunch is not a mindset, it's a lifestyle.
Oh, you are so right. Pardon me. I was ignorant
Do
in
not
my
choose
ways.
the brunch.
I feel like I'm
Brunch
not
chooses-
devoted enough to be part of this podcast.
So, how's everyone doing?
I'm tired.
I'm cold.
Tired? Cold?
For a second, I didn't realize that you were talking to us. I thought you were doing this like engagement part. It's like, so how are you guys doing, listeners?
Dot, dot,
Good
dot,
talk.
dot.
These
Can
are
you
just
find the
very
map?
fun scenarios that we're talking about, and that segues me into the topic. We're going to play a little game, everybody.
Oh,
Ooh.
The
ooh.
game is worst case scenario.
Oh, beautiful.
And how this is going to work, I have a list of worst case scenario prompts. I will only fill it in halfway. And it is up to you to make it worse, but then also survive.
Okay. How's this? Are we all
Are we
adding
doing this
things
round
on, or are we
robin?
round robin? Yeah.
It's a round robin style. You
Okay.
do your
Oh,
own
no.
scenario. You got to make it as worse as possible, as realistic as possible, and still survive.
So this is kind of akin to that like superpower with a catch scenario.
Yes.
Flashback
Okay.
to whatever episode that was. 2?
Oh. Well, I guess that wasn't meant to be that, but it kind of ended up becoming that.
That
So-
was fun.
We're gonna do probably enough to just fill the time, but I will be keeping score.
Okay.
Of who lives.
Yes. Essentially, I will pick who survives and who had the worst one. Everyone else will die in that scenario, and then we clone you and move on.
Helldivers.
Yay!
I'm down.
All right. So, here's the first scenario. And in no particular order, Riley.
Okay.
I feel like there's a particular order here. But
I feel like we need some like Hell's Kitchen music there.
Riley. You are on a canoe, stranded in the ocean. You have one oar. Proceed with your scenario.
Is that all? I have a singular oar?
Yes.
Am I clothed?
I mean, do you want to be? This is your
I
scenario
desperately
now.
want to be clothed, so...
Be clothed.
Okay, thank you.
You're
worst case scenario, Riley.
Naked in the middle of the ocean in
Riley,
a canoe
naked
with
and
a
afraid.
single oar.
Your clothes were eaten by the same giant fish that consumed Jonah.
Oh no. I guess I have to
Well,
wait
the
3
oar
days.
That was a weird one.
Look any other way.
Well, how
Anyhow,
far out in the ocean am I? Okay,
Middle.
so,
you can set the scenario however you want.
okay. Make it worse than it already is, right?
Yes, you have to make it worse. As bad and as realistic as possible is a winning feature, and then also realistically surviving is another realistic.
Okay, I'm first off in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Cause that would suck. But also not. I don't know.
It's not like the stormy Atlantic.
Yeah, but it has its own problems. So, okay, what I'm gonna say is I'm in the middle of a dead portion of sea. Are y'all aware of the concept of sea deserts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
No.
tell the class, though, for the viewers and
Okay.
for Jay.
There are
yeah.
essentially underwater deserts in the middle of the ocean that stretch for miles and miles and miles and miles. They have almost no life in them. There's like maybe a couple of sharks every once in a while, maybe a couple of like jellyfish floating around, but 9 times out of 10 you are going to find absolutely nothing in that water. Oftentimes it's also devoid of most wind, if I remember correctly. It's just
I
dead.
believe you're correct. Yeah.
Dead water. So that would be like total worst case scenario. At least I have a paddle. So what I would do is play dead until a seabird lands on my canoe to try to consume my corpse. Right?
Just to be.
And I would do this regularly in order to catch them so that I can eat them.
It's just like, well, this sucks. Blech.
Riley's out here eating raw seabird.
It would be. And I know it would work because some people have survived like that. And I would use my singular paddle to try to get myself to somewhere that is not an ocean desert, right? If I'm in the Pacific, it might be a little bit easier because I could find an island, and that would be what I would try to do. The problem is I don't know how to navigate via the stars. So I'd have to teach myself how to do that very quick, or else I will get very lost very fast. Also, I am directionally challenged, just in general. So that might be a problem. But, yeah, I just play dead, catch birds, and paddle. And I would use the feathers that I would get from the birds to make myself soft places to sleep. And I would try to fashion the bones into sharp, pointy bits I could put at the other end of my oar so that eventually I could start spear fishing with my oar if I get to a place where there's like more fish. Because in the middle of the sea desert, some fish will use boats as like shade. So that would be
Interesting.
my
That is interesting.
So I know that we're each getting our own prompts and stuff, but to add
Oh
off
no,
of
it's the
this-
same one, just going around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you
Okay, well
win
then
the
never mind.
prompt.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
we each were getting our own prompts.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, this doesn't necessarily have to be mine, but I thought it was funny, so I'm just gonna kind of build off of Riley's, just because that was the thought process I had when she was talking about the birds. Instead of eating them, I would slowly lure them in and eventually accumulate them and tie them to the front of the boat.
bird
If you're familiar
power.
with the, if you're familiar with the movie Up,
Oh no.
This is more like
You're
James and the
trying to
Giant
up
Peach,
the boat.
but yes.
and I would just have them pull me to safety. You know, my grand chariot pulled by a flock of seagulls.
They land in the water to rest, and occasionally you're just like, ah!
Shake their little leashes. Where are you getting the string for that?
Pulling it from his
That is
clothes, I'd
true.
assume.
Either that or just by killing the first bird and using its
Oh
sinew,
no.
I guess.
Sinew.
Do
Have to kill a
birds?
lot of birds.
Can birds produce sinew?
Just
Everything with bones
dry
has
out an
some amount of
intestine.
sinew.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Dry out an intestine.
Some kind of gross resource from a bird's insides.
Stringy.
Maybe don't watch this one over lunch.
That's why it's brunch podcast, Aiden.
Also,
Ah!
fun fact about what Riley was saying, the birds, eating them. A lot of fresh meat is actually, like raw meat, is actually edible as long as you eat it while it's fresh because it hasn't been exposed to
like salmonella and stuff.
like bacteria yet. So as long as it's like completely raw and like fresh, it's actually generally, I don't know if it's universal, but it's generally safe to eat.
Well, there we
Also,
go.
I don't mind.
So, Riley, that was a
Calm.
lovely prompt, and I really loved the tying the birds to the boat.
That wasn't me. That was RJ.
That was a great addition to your prompt, right?
I just thought it was funny.
No, I'm not counting it. I'm just being silly. It is funny. RJ, then I guess what are you going to do? You're stranded at sea, canoe with a paddle.
So my
Fill
scenario,
out your scenario. Yep.
there's a small hole in the canoe, and it is slowly
Oh.
getting water. That's, I guess, just the worst aspect of it. But what you can do is capsize the canoe and then float on top of it. The oar, instead of using to paddle, because I don't know if any of y'all have ever actually had to paddle a canoe that's full of water. It's very difficult. So what I would do is I would use like my shirt or whatever article of clothing I have with me, or any kind of fabric, I guess, to make a flag, and I would attach it to the oar and would try to get a nearby ship's attention with my
Shirt
My,
flag.
my shirt flag.
It's your shirt flag. Hopefully not pirates.
I mean, even if it was a pirate, at least I wouldn't be sinking
True.
or stranded, I
That
should
is
say,
true.
because capsizing it would help with the sinking situation.
All right. Sounds good. Jay, you are stranded at sea with just an oar and your canoe. Fill out your scenario and what you'll do.
Stranded at sea in a canoe with one oar, and I can see on the horizon there's some massive storm clouds.
Ah,
Quite frankly, I don't know the first thing about surviving in the ocean, so I'm dead. But if I were to try to live this, brain says paddle the opposite direction and hope.
just hope. Do you know how tall waves can get even in the Pacific?
It's quite tall. It's like, what, 20, 30 feet? Something like that?
Well, more than that if you go up to like the Bering Strait.
I haven't bared straight in a long time, really.
112 feet in extreme cases.
Yeah. I like roller coasters.
You
The hard
gotta
part is keeping...
paddle
Actually,
straight to the storm and ride the wave.
if I can... So, you know how fish, when they're dead, they float, yeah?
Yeah.
So, what I would try to do is see if I can get some large fish, catch some large fish somehow, right? Maybe, like, untie some of my shirt or something, or turn my shirt into, like, a... Like, pull a sleeve off and try to use it as a fishing hook, right?
Luckily, you
Uh,
have two sunfish in the area.
right. Basically, kill them. Don't eat those if I can help it. And I see the storm coming in. I'm gonna try to use take my oar, lay it across the top of the canoe, and attach the sunfish to the either end of the oar, and try to use it to
Oh.
stabilize the canoe so
Oh.
that it won't capsize in the 112-foot waves.
That's 18 of you, by the way.
Very tall. Very tall waves. Nice. Now we get to the second portion of this.
Oh no, there's 2 portions.
There are two portions. You
The
see,
super secret second half.
I have a D20 right here,
Oh no.
and y'all have given me a scenario and a way to survive it. So right now the bar is at 18. If one of y'all hits it, you get the prompt. I will say the worst scenario point, because that is a point, is kind of hard because hole in the boat, you're dead. There is a chance in a storm. I'm gonna go with the hole in the boat. RJ, you get that first. You get that first worst point.
Let's go.
Now I'm gonna roll this and see if no one makes the score. Then you have to add another thing that you can do to survive.
What else can
Starting
I
with Riley, you got a 7.
So, one other thing I can do to survive?
Yes, you
Have
have to add another
clothes.
thing you can do to survive. Well, hold on. I got to roll for everybody.
I have
Oh.
clothes.
RJ. That was a 12. That was a little better. J. For some reason, my brain switched the 12 to a 21. It's a 12.
Cool.
So we're going to go around again. Riley, what can you do to improve your strategy? Add a thing. You don't even have to have it in the first place now.
Well, I like keeping things like duct tape on me.
Have duct tape.
So I have duct tape. I
Duct
make
tape, good.
a duct tape like sail and
Mhm.
attach it to my oar
Oh,
and
okay.
try to use my oar as a little sail for my sailboat or for my canoe. Yeah.
Sail. Okay. Cool. RJ, continue to improve your situation.
Well, and if I was in a canoe, regardless of how I got in the ocean, I was probably on some kind of trek, like a camping trek. Um, and in there, I would probably have some kind of mirror, because that's basic survival gear. Well, not so basic. I was scouting, so I would probably have one of those with me. I would probably try to use that to get the attention of a nearby airplane if one overhead. Like, can think of.
Um, I'm having connection issue.
I am
I
as
think it's
well.
all of Discord this time.
Oh, is it just a Discord
Yeah.
issue?
Oh, it
This
seems
will
to
have to
have
be like a
figured
cutout
itself out.
session.
Okay, RJ, repeat what
Okay,
you
Just
just
this
said.
section.
Yep.
So, if I'm in a canoe, I imagine, regardless of how I got to the ocean, that I would probably be on some kind of like trek, camping. I was in scouting, so
Right.
in addition to camping gear, you probably have survival gear in case of emergency, like a whistle, or oftentimes people will have a mirror um, in case you need to be spotted from the air. So I would use said mirror to try to get the attention of a plane that passes over, assuming there is one.
Okay. Cool. I like that. Jay, how do you fix your situation up more?
Well, I was thinking of a much more cop-out version of what RJ just answered. I'll be quite
Yeah.
honest. So RJ's like, oh man, I was in scouting, right? It was like, those satellite phones? The ones that you don't need to have like cell service for? They just like kind of connect
Oh
to
yeah, yeah,
satellite.
yeah.
Yeah, like the emergency rescue phones. I would have one of those that I just like for very similar reasons. Like, I don't know how I got out into the middle of the ocean in a canoe because it's me. So that already means I was doing something stupid. So I would at least like plan to have a satellite phone or something, right?
All right,
Right?
let's go through these. So the number to meet is 15. Riley got it with a natural 20.
Woo!
Let's go duct tape sale.
Duct tape sale.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm gonna roll for the two of y'all. RJ, a 3. Unfortunately, you did not survive. Jay, a 16. You also lived.
Somehow.
Aw.
Why is
Somehow the
RJ the
satellite
one
worked.
who doesn't get to live when RJ's the only one with survival training?
Put a hole
It
in
is
his
kind of
boat.
ironic, but it's okay. It's like that meme with the thumb coming out of the water, you know?
Yeah.
Me, my canoe just slowly sinks and no one comes to save me.
It's RJ sticking his hand out at me, high fiving his hand as he sinks.
Yes.
All right, good job, y'all. Now the second one that we have right here. Let's do one that's a little different.
I'm stepping away from my mic for just 1 second, but I'll be right back.
All right. Well, in the meantime, during this pause, what would y'all have done differently in RJ's situation? There's a hole in your boat.
Duct tape.
Duct tape.
Really, technically, flex seal tape.
Flex seal. Now that's some damage.
That's a lot of damage.
Gotta slap some flex seal on that puppy.
If
Oh,
your
be
solutions
gone!
from now on are going to be duct tape, that's gonna be so funny.
Look, I was in an interview recently for a job where the guy asked me if you were on a desert island, but you didn't have to worry about food or water, what would you bring with you? What would you have with you? And I told him duct tape and paracord. Not because I need it for survival, but because I need it for entertainment.
That
So
is an interesting thing to be entertained about.
you can make anything
Uh,
with duct tape and paracord. You can make bracelets, you can make hammocks, you can make wallets, you can make water gathering things for gits and shiggles. You know.
You can make a grenade.
no. Oh,
Duct-
I was about to ask viewers, what would you bring to a desert island if you didn't have to worry about food and
I
water?
have serious concerns about the realistic aspect of these scenarios. Riley's over here like, yeah, I just happen to have Flex Seal tape with me. And Jay's like, I got a satellite phone. I can just call for help. And I'm over here making a realistic survival situation, and I'm the only one. Well, actually, I did. So, what?
Don't you worry, you're still in the lead because of your worst scenario.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Aiden,
Alright.
Aiden said disregard reality the last time he said.
He did.
So-
He did, to be fair.
So when he said disregard reality, all the adhesives in the world became my oyster.
I should have just gone with the birds then.
Birds!
Oh no.
All right. Here's this situation now. You were traveling abroad and suddenly you find yourself in the middle of a war zone.
Oh.
RJ, what would you do? And also, what is the rest of your scenario?
So the first thing that makes this worse, obviously, is the communication, like the language barrier. You can't communicate with anyone nearby. Nobody understands you. And so obviously they're not able to help you out because they don't understand your situation. So what
That's
I would do in order to survive is join in and then sneak out whenever someone is extracting from the battle zone, whether it be like a helicopter or whatever, or I fake an injury so I get Maddie backed out. Taken to a hospital, and from there I could sneak away and return to safety.
I like this. That's a good one. All right. Jay, you're traveling abroad and suddenly you're caught in a war zone. What's your scenario and how do you escape?
If I'm just like kind of skedaddling around, right?
Mhm.
Just around the countryside, the thing that makes this worse for me, I step on a landmine.
Oh no!
However, I realize I've stepped on it and don't step off.
All right. It's one of
It's
those.
the one.
ones.
Yes, this is definitely how this works. So I'm stuck, basically, not able to move my right foot, and it's in the middle of a plain, just like a open area, just standing
Just open field. Oh,
open
no.
field on a landmine, in like who knows wherever we are abroad.
All right. So, how do you escape?
Uh, you know, first plan is try to wait for as long as I can, right? Without moving my foot, just like pop the Slav squat, right? Where you're still putting pressure on your feet, but you're not standing, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of see if a caravan comes through. It doesn't matter which side of the battle this is. It's just somebody me like pointing at my foot and try to hand landmine.
Yeah.
And see if they've got any way to help me figure it out because I'm not trained for the military.
Why don't you just pull out a satellite phone and just call for help?
You're not salty about that at all.
Not at all.
I whip out my flex
Look,
tape
I
and tape it to the mine.
I led with it was a cop-out answer, okay?
You did.
And it was within the parameters of the rule.
It is
All right.
technically legal. The best kind of legal.
It is. All right, Riley, you are traveling abroad when suddenly you're caught in the middle of a war zone. What's your scenario and how do you escape?
So I have actually been a mile away from an active war zone.
It was quite peaceful.
Yeah, there was actually no fighting going on, and our tour guide was very upset that we couldn't hear anything. But on this site a mile away from the active war zone, there were actually mines behind a very thin, not well repaired barbed wire fence. And there were no signs warning you that there were mines on the enemy side of the fence. So I think my worst case scenario would be a similar one to Jay's, right? And I would be stuck in an active war zone in an area where there are mines and you don't know where they are or that they're even there. Except it would be horrible if you could actually see that there was fighting and stuff going on. That would suck.
That would be.
I think I would try to act as American as possible in that situation. Loud.
You pull out your phone, you take some pictures.
Exactly. I would try to be the obnoxious American because especially since I'm a woman, right? I know for a fact there is going to be some dude who looks at me and goes, "What is she doing?" And is going to either do something horrible to me, I hope not, but, either do something horrible to me, or escort me off of the battlefield, right? Because I'm really good at playing the poor, stupid, little white woman American, and it works wonders when you're abroad. It really does, because then people either hate you and leave you alone, or they pity you and they try to help you. It's fabulous. I wish you all could try it sometime, but don't ever abuse that, ever. But when you run weeping in the middle of an airport that is in a country that does not necessarily speak a lot of English, you get a lot of help there too. So that's my strategy. Weaponize what I am.
All right.
Weaponize what I am.
For the worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to give it to Jay just because
He's an actor.
That one was pretty good.
Jay forgot that he had to escape.
I'm not good at escaping scenarios, so
Just getting
mine
into
just
them.
yes.
All right, starting with RJ. The number is 18. You got an 18, so RJ, you survive. This gives Jay and Riley only one roll.
Bye, boys. It's been an honor.
Jay, you got a 10. You definitely blow up. I'm sorry. Riley, nail-biting finish of a roll. You got a 16.
No! I die. Somebody
I'm
shoots me because I'm
curious.
too annoying.
They apparently don't like Americans.
Is there any modifier to these rolls, or is it just a flat roll?
I start with 18. It's just a flat roll, and then I go down from there.
Cool.
All right. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we have time
So-
for one more.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Jay, you're walking around in a forest, taking a hike. You take a wrong turn somewhere and you find yourself lost in the woods. What's the rest of your scenario, and how do you escape?
I find myself lost in the woods. How to make this worse in a way that's survivable and I don't have to use a cop out later. Um, it's not currently raining, but it's recently rained and it's a little bit chilly. Uh, and so I'm tromping around through the woods, right? And I've accidentally stepped in like a puddle and it's gone. It's like my whole shoe is just soaked. Like
Oh,
both shoes, right?
Ugh.
Yeah.
That could
Uh,
actually be really dangerous.
yeah, gangrene, stuff. If you don't
Trench
take
foot.
care of it quickly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. First thing, try to like get a couple of sticks. I'm in a forest, right? Hope they're dry. If not, I'll be standing here for hours trying to make a fire, right? With
mhm.
friction because I don't have knowing me, unfortunately, I would not be prepared like some people. Um
Yeah.
So trying to use friction to start a fire to dry my socks and shoes before figuring out where I am, and trying to figure out how to get out of here.
All right. Sounds good. Riley, you are hiking around in the forest, and suddenly you take a wrong turn and you're lost in the woods. What's your scenario? How do you escape?
It's winter and I just fell inside of water.
Oh no!
And I'm trying to remember all of the Man vs. Wild that I dedicated my life to as a kid, and I remember nothing.
I'm gonna put that as part of the scenario. You're trying to you have the Charles Xavier pose. Just
Got
ah!
nothing. Okay, so first thing I need to do is figure out how to get myself warm so that I don't completely go into total hypothermia and die. So when he did it, I think what happened was he built a fire. And I know how to do that, so I'm gonna attempt to build a fire. Um, I'm gonna assume in my worst case scenario that I can't be too far from civilization without having packed survival gear. Because I always keep, a backpack with me filled with things that are useful in case I get lost whenever I go out on like a hike.
Got it. Okay.
Like snacks and I have a little case that has wax covered cotton and a little flint and steel fire starter that I made. and it's in an old like plastic gum container that I take with me in my backpack. So typically I would have that if I've gone out on a hike, and I'm assuming that's what this scenario is, right?
Yes.
So my wax covered cotton should still be fine. So I would have to shred that up and like use it as kindling to make a fire. And I would have to, strip out of my wet clothes and put them next to the fire and get really, really close to the fire so that I don't die. And I do that until it starts getting a little bit too dark, and then I'd have to make myself some sort of shelter. I'm assuming there's snow because it's winter. But if it's Texas, then there's no snow. Is it Texas? Because if it's Texas, then it's not that bad.
I mean,
It's your scenario to set.
Well, if it's my scenario to set, then we're in Colorado, and I am Oods Gray.
With a survival pack.
With a survival pack. So I would try to, if I can get mostly dry, then I would, pack myself up and try to get to an area where I can make one of those little snow shelters, for the night, and, elevate myself up off the ground and pack the snow in real good and have a little fire on the edge so that I don't get carbon monoxide poisoning, but I also don't freeze to death. And then I would probably stay there, honestly. Because I'm assuming if I've gone on a hike, people know that I've gone on a hike. And if I'm lost and people can't find me or haven't heard from me, I'm going to start assuming that they're going to send rescue. So I'm going to stay put in my little snow shelter with the amount of supplies that I have, and I'll use the days that I spend waiting for rescue trying to gather food that I know is food and making like traps for squirrels and stuff.
This is a lot of stuff.
Look, I mean, if I've gone hiking, I have equipment. That's all I'm saying.
It's fair. I'm just saying this is a lot of stuff to rely on a roll for 18.
It's a lot, yes. But that's the realism of it. That's what I'm sticking with.
All right. Arch.
Okay.
You are hiking and you take a wrong turn. You're lost in the woods.
Lost in the woods. I stumble around. Turns out I'm not alone. There's a hunter out there, and he's crazy. There's no one else around. He decides he wants to hunt a person. So he's chasing me through the forest. I managed to subdue him, but shortly after, I accidentally step on one of his bear traps, and it clamps down on my leg. And then I hear wolves somewhere nearby.
Oh no! How do you escape?
So
Gotta slide tackle the hunter.
I escape because when the wolves come, I assert my dominance, and then they recognize me as the alpha. I now have an entire pack of wolves on my side. They recognize me as their leader, and they help me escape. They clean my wounds, and I become one of them. I learn all of their wolfish ways as we wander around the forest that is now our territory. Only to find out, 1.5 years later, I was only a half mile from civilization, where I then struggle to be grafted back into society as I am now half wolf.
On all levels except physical, I am a wolf.
No, you don't understand.
So
RJ will have metamorphized by then. He will
RJ
be more
gets the
hairy and
worst
his ears
point.
will look funny.
He'll be taller.
Archie gets the worst scenario points. All right, everyone, let's get our 18s. Jay, let's see if you're I'm lost and it's cold and wet.
You know, I feel like that shouldn't be an 18. I'm not gonna lie to you, given how these two are. Riley in the frozen wastes and RJ straight up turning into a wolf like he's a RPG character. Like,
You know what? I'm gonna accept that. I'm gonna say that's fair. Let's get you a 50.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow.
You got a 16, Jay. You survived.
Oh no.
All right, Riley. I'm gonna give you a 17 and RJ an 18.
please.
Riley, you got a 19. You survived.
I survived.
All
Goodness
right,
gracious.
RJ. Let's see. You got a natural 20. What the?
Let's go.
These two are out here in actual survival situations. I'm over here like fingers pointing together. Oh, it's a little cold and wet. I got lost. Could somebody help me find my way out?
To be fair, you also had a lot less time to think about yours than I did.
Yeah, you went after Riley, who gave like an entire like
Riley had,
how-to
like,
video,
she
like
was reading
thesis
from
and
the
everything.
Hatchet. It was like, what the heck?
I told you I dedicated my life to Man vs. Wild. Mythbusters and Man vs. Wild were what I watched.
There
And
was
I'm gonna take this pine, these bits of bark from the pine, and I'm gonna turn this into a noose for a rabbit to come by.
Not a lot of water out here. I'm gonna have to drink my own piss.
I was not able to correctly identify the berries, and I've now just like crapped myself.
That's why I said I was gonna hunt squirrels. Because I remembered that part of the hatchet.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, I think we got one more, and then I think
No, we're pushing on an hour, my guy.
Oh, okay, we're 10. Well, then I'll do the point. Unfortunately, I couldn't do any words of podcasts since I was keeping score.
That's okay.
we'll have to do
Riley,
those in post.
I really wanted to do better by you, but you got 2 points.
That's okay. I'll take my 2 points with pride.
Jay, you did pretty good. You got 4 points. And RJ with a whopping 6 points.
Yeah,
Our winner.
worst case scenario twice, and I think also lived twice. So
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I couldn't get past the wolves. They recognized me as their leader.
The realism not there, but
Realism
must
was
become the alpha.
I'm telling you, he's an RPG protagonist or like side character to the protagonist.
oh,
Hey,
that's-
I
Supporting character.
rolled.
oh man.
I
You
think
ever
next
felt the
time.
call of the moon? Heard the...
I think next time I'm going to determine survivability a little differently. Kind of like how I did that last one. Instead of everyone with a flat number.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good though. That was absolutely delightful. Who was it? Santiago, Chile.
Yeah.
Y'all have a fantastic brunch and rest of your day. Brunch of Idiots out.
Goodbye.
Ah.
Bye.
Bye.